Okay, I'm going to walk you through the steps on how to create the assembly drawing in your for your puzzle cube project. And so I'm going to come up here to my application button, and I'm going to click open this time. We are always going to use a drawing sheet that is for our class. And so the reason we do that is because it's set up for 8.5 by 11 inch paper. And so I'm going to come out here and I'm going to find this W drive, this shared drive for the school. I'm going to scroll down until I see the engineering folder. I'll double click on that folder and I'm going to find the drawing sheet that says NHS Engineering Drawing Sheet, and we're going to want the one that says decimal inch. And so I'll go ahead and click open. The first thing you want to do when you have that drawing sheet open is go back to the application button and click Save As. And you are going to want to save that back into your folder where you have all of your puzzle cube stuff saved. And so I'm just going to click and I'm going to save that right into my folder. And so now I'm working from my folder instead of from that shared drive. If you do that, you will make sure that you always have a copy of this, a clean copy that you can use. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create our assembly drawing. Is we're going to, under the Place Views tab, we're going to click Base. I'm going to find those exploded views that I made. Those presentation files. And so I'll find the folders. Here's my first one, subassembly 1. So I'm going to want to place that into my drawing sheet. So I'll go ahead and click open. I'm going to want to make that an isometric view. And so to do that, I'm going to go ahead and click up here from my object. I'm going to click to place that as an isometric view. And I can see that the scale is going to be way too large on this object. So I'm going to go ahead and click and make it half scale. All right, and half scale looks like it'll fit better. So once I've done that, I'll go ahead and click Shaded to make my view shaded and click OK. And so what I've done is I've created this isometric view. I also have like kind of a front view here for that. I don't need that, so I'm going to go ahead and click Delete. And it will delete that front view. All right, so the next thing I'm going to want to do is I'll click Base. I'll click the file to find the file I want, and now I want my puzzle cube subassembly 2 that's exploded. I'll go ahead and click open. I'll click my home view to make that an isometric. I'll find the view that I want, and that looks like it'll work, and I'll just click OK. I'll click the shaded button to make sure it's shaded, and then I'll click OK. And then I can see I've added my next piece into my puzzle cube. Next one, I'll click Base again. Find my subassembly 3. Click Open. Find the isometric view that I want to show how that object goes into my puzzle cube. I think that's what I want right there. So I can go ahead and click OK. And then I'll click to select the view and I'll move it up. I'll find my next one, click Base, subassembly 4. I'll click Open. My home screen, I will find the view that I want to show that object. I think that's the one I want, so I'll click OK. Again, I'll move it over to where I can see it. And then lastly, I'll want to show the final assembly, so I'll click Base. I'll find my assembly drawing that I have. I'll click on my view cube to put the view that I want in. I think that's the view I want to see because it's the same isometric as the step before. So I'll click OK, and I'll click to put that view in. If you notice on this one, I forgot to click Shaded. So if you do that, if you select the view, I know I have the view selected when the red dot is around it, and I click Edit View, it brings that window back up, and I can click shade it again and make sure that that object is shaded. Now if I look at this object, this view doesn't look very good. It's still hard to tell how that object goes in, and so maybe I want to edit that one. So I'll right click and I'll click edit view. I'll get my view cube back up here, and I can pan around and find a view that looks better, like it shows how the object goes in better. And again, we're going to want to make sure it's a true isometric view. That one's maybe better. That looks like the best one. So I'm going to change that one by clicking OK, and now I can see maybe a little bit better how that part goes into the object. Alright, the next thing we're going to want to do is put some part balloons on to show each part. So what I'm going to do that is there's two methods, auto balloon or just add the part balloons individually. I think it works best for this project to add the part balloons individually. For some projects it'll work best to use auto balloon. So I'm going to go ahead and click balloon, and I'm going to click on my first part, which is the purple part here. It brings up a bill of material properties. You can just leave all this stuff the same and click OK, and you can see that you can bring in a part number, and it's ballooned. And so I'm going to click to place that, and then when I have it the way I want it, I'm going to right click and say continue, and it'll place that part balloon in for me. So I'm going to do that for my purple part. I'll click balloon and add it for my orange part. Right click and say continue. I'll add my blue part right here. You can see how that one didn't come in very well. So I can hit escape, and then I can grab that balloon and I can pull it out where I want it. I'm going to want that to be on that surface, so you can edit that balloon once you have it in. Next one will be my green part, so I'll click the green part, click OK, click, can enter. Then the last one we'll have is our red part down here, and I'll click the red part, click OK, click to drag out that balloon, and right click and say continue. Now a couple of things we can do to make our balloons a little bit easier to understand. There's two ways to show a balloon. One way is an arrow, and another way is a dot. So an arrow points to a specific feature. So to make that a dot, I'm going to hit escape on my keyboard a few times. I'm going to click on the end of that arrow, take it off the object, and put it back on the object. And when I do that, it changes that to a dot. And what that dot means is I am referencing this entire part. Okay, and so I'll go around and I'll do that for all of my balloons. I'll move them around and try to make them as organized as I can. Make sure that they're close to the object. Make sure that my balloon is at an angle, and just try to clean this up and make it look as neat as I can. Again, with our goal of creating this is to communicate our design with someone. Alright, so that takes care of all my balloons. I'll click the view to page or zoom to page option over here on my zoom tools. The last thing we're going to want to do is add a parts list, and so I'm going to go ahead and click parts list, and in this time I'm going to select my fully assembled view here. So I'll go ahead and click that, and I'll click OK, and I'll come down here somewhere at the bottom of my sheet and I'll add that parts list. And so if we look at the part list, it's calling item number 1 the blue part. And so if I look at my object, item number 1 is not the blue part, it's the orange part. So the reason that it's confused is because we put in our parts list based on this, and we put in our balloons based on all of these other views. And so we're going to need to edit this parts list. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and double click on it. I'm going to change this after I double click on it to the blue part, and I'm going to make it item number 3. My green part should be item number 4. It's highlighting it in yellow to tell us we have more than one part item, the same part. My orange part is 1. my purple part is 2. And my red part is 5, so that one's already correct. And so I'll do that, and I'll go ahead and click Apply, and click OK, and now those items are changed and they correspond correctly with the correct part. And so how to read this bill of materials or this part list is I have item number 3, there's one of them in the assembly, here's the name of the part. We could add a description if we wanted, and then we can change the material here. And so I'm going to show you how to do that. So our puzzle cubes are going to be made out of maple wood, so that's what those little blocks are. And so if I click to open up my, let's say my, let's go with my orange part here. It's going to open up and we can change the actual material of that part. And so to do that, if I come over here to my object and I right click on it and I go to Eye Properties and I click on the Physical tab, I can change the material. And so let's say we want to make it out of steel. I'll go ahead and click Apply and Close, and I can save that. And now when I go back to my drawing sheet, I can see that it has changed the orange part material to steel. Now we don't really want it to be steel, we want it to be maple or wood. And so I'm going to right click, go to Eye Properties, go to Physical. I'm going to come down here to Wood, find Maple, click Apply and Close, and I'll save that part again, and it will update on my drawing sheet and make it the correct material. Alright, so when you're done with your assembly, we're going to want to go ahead and go to File, Save As, and we're going to save this as PC for Puzzle Cube, and we're going to call this our working drawings, and then your initials.